A young merchant from Baltimore stands waist-deep in a freezing saltwater marsh. He's not slept in 48 hours. He will be dead before the tide rolls in. He does not know this yet. None of them do. It is the 27th of August, 1776. The American Revolution is about to die in a Brooklyn swamp. Just weeks after signing the Declaration of Independence, the Continental Army holds a fragile line. They keep no heavy defenses here. They have no professional training. The nearest reinforcement is miles away across a treacherous river. In over a year of skirmishes, not a single force of this magnitude has ever faced them. That changes in the next hour. 2,000 elite British redcoats and Scottish Highlanders appear through the mist. They move fast, driven by a relentless sweeping envelopment strategy. Their bayonets are fixed. The men carry a legacy of undefeated global warfare. They have crossed the Atlantic for something very specific. They know exactly how weak Washington's position is, and they know no one can save him. The British reach the American flanks just after dawn. Armed regulars pour through the woods and shatter the militia lines without hesitation. Defensive lines are broken open from the rear. Raw recruits clutching rusted muskets are cut down in the retreat. The entire rebellion is being systematically dismantled in real time. By midday, the marsh is silent again. Smoke lifts from the burning landscape. The tide washes blood from the mud. Washington's army is trapped against the water, looking for an escape that does not exist. No one in the British High Command expected these ragged rebels to hold. No one knew why a single regiment chose to stand their ground, and no one has any idea that this horrific defeat is actually the birth of an unbreakable spirit. The men who stood their ground at Gowanus Creek did not come from a legendary battle-hardened army. They had no formal military background, no previous victories, and no empire backing them. They came from the quiet, wealthy trading ports of Maryland, a stretch of coastline where life was comfortable enough that no one expected these young men to ever face a bayonet. They were the sons of lawyers, merchants, and planters. Their families had passed down wealth, titles, and elegant estates. A second son inherited property. A third son was given a fine education. So when the call for rebellion went out, these young men didn't just join a militia, they built a regiment, and their pristine appearance changed how the enemy saw them. But now, on the morning of August 27th, all of that prestige mattered nothing. The old Dutch farmhouse nearby, the Cortelyou House, was bristling with British rifles. Major Mordecai Gist looked at his remaining 400 men. He did not give the order to drop their weapons. Instead, he drew his sword and pointed it straight at the enemy line. You heard that right. 400 untrained American boys charged directly into the teeth of a 2,000-man British brigade. The British regulars, accustomed to watching raw militia scatter like sheep, stood in stunned silence as the Marylanders drove them back from the house. But discipline always reasserts itself. The British regrouped, reinforced by heavy artillery, and poured a devastating crossfire into the small American pocket. The Marylanders broke, reformed their shattered line, and charged a second time, then a third time, then a fourth. Up on the bluffs, George Washington watched through his brass telescope as his finest young men were systematically torn to pieces. Witnesses recorded him wringing his hands, crying out in agony for the brave fellows he was losing. By the sixth charge, the Maryland line was completely gone. Out of the 400 who began the assault, 256 lay dead in the mud. Less than 100 made it back across the creek. But those 25 minutes of pure suicidal defiance changed the course of history. While the Maryland 400 were buying blood with every yard of that field, they halted the entire British advance. That critical delay gave George Washington the precious hours he needed to evacuate his entire army under the cover of a sudden miraculous fog. The British won the battle on the field, but they lost the war. The dandies who were expected to break at the first shot became the steel backbone that kept the nation alive when it was one bad hour away from being erased. History is not made by massive empires or inevitable victories. It is forged in the 25 minutes where ordinary men refuse to run. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel. There are more lost worlds waiting to be rebuilt.